Ayo, Sharktholomew! What's up? I gotta talk about the Oscars and I really need you. For real? No! When the hell have I ever needed you for something like that? God, you freaking idiot, get the hell out of here. What the hell was he thinking? Anyways, greetings ladies and gentlemen of the internet, Jan Michael here, and welcome to my Oscar predictions for October of 2022. I suppose I should actually start this video by apologizing for the lateness of it. I've been playing catch up these last few weeks, so just bear with me as I get my schedule back up and running. But that being said, there is a shit ton to talk about. I mean, we had the film festivals last month. There's the New York one happening right now. Films that we thought were going to be huge Oscar contenders have fallen off. Others have shown more potential. It's just been an amazing last few weeks, and I can't wait to talk about absolutely everything. So let's just dive right on in, shall we? For Best Picture, I still have Everything Everywhere All at Once at number 1. And some of you may be thinking that's a dumb move. After all, The Fabelmans did just win People's Choice at TIFF. The winner of that usually goes on to either be nominated for Best Picture or win Best Picture ever since 2008, with one exception. So yeah, if this is your number 1, I completely understand why. It's a good move. I just can't help but think this is the shiny new thing that everybody's kind of latching onto. And time will tell if it's the thing that people really want to put up on that pedestal, or if they're going to quickly look to other films to really be that next shiny new thing. On the other hand, Everything Everywhere All at Once has remained shiny and new for a lot of people for a long time. And I guess you can make the argument that's just because nothing else really came out, but I like to think it's a little bit more than that. And not just because I really want this one to go all the way and win Best Picture, but I do think its biggest hurdle is that it came out so long ago at this point, and it's still got so much more longer to go before the Oscar. So I understand if you're not 100% on board with that film being number 1, it could falter as we get to the end of the year and we get the last remaining films to finally release. So there's that for you. Now, I do want to mention that I think as of right now, there are 4 heavy hitters. 4 films that I do think could have the potential to be the front runners. They could all be fighting against each other, or maybe as the months go on, we will get a clear view of who's going to be the standout, or if 2 or 3 or all of them are going to be vying for the gold trophy. So the first 2, obviously, Everything and The Fabelmans. And number 3, I have Babylon. It's Damien Chazelle. We just got the trailer for it. Looks freaking insane. And I'm very excited to go see it. So I do think that's going to be a big player when it finally releases. And the 4th one is Women Talking. Now this one hasn't been as, oh my god, raved about as some of the other films, but I think that actually is going to work in its favor. It's a very heavy topic, and I think it's going to get a lot of people discussing the themes of the film. It's gonna bring out the sexist assholes, which are then gonna lead to the other side really ratcheting it up and putting it on that pedestal, and I think it's in the proper place to be a good frontrunner. The only thing that's really making me pause is, and a lot of people have been talking about kind of the filter of the film, if you will, where it kind of has this kind of dark look from what I understand it, and I hate films that do that, where it has like one filter throughout the entire runtime. Think of like The Matrix with that kind of green hue, or that film with Mark Ruffalo with the Teflon court case, where I was seeing that and I'm like, what the fuck time of day it is? It's like, it just was very unclear. So I hope it isn't to that degree here, but it is something I've heard multiple people say, so it's really what's making me pause there. Still, I think those are 4 strong possibilities. Now, the following 2, I think, have very good chances of getting in. I'm almost 100% confident. There's just little things that kind of hold me back from thinking, oh yeah, this is definitely going to be a front runner. It's going to be a serious contender. And so we'll talk about those now. It's The Banshees of Inisherin, which right now is my most anticipated film of the year. I freaking love In Bruges. I love that Martin's kind of making a film for the fans of those ones, and everyone who's seen it has freaking loved it. But I don't think this is a film that's trying to be a best Picture contender, which is completely fine. I don't think you have to go for an Oscar with every film. I think he just wanted to tell an entertaining story that he wanted to tell. And it just so happens that everyone is on board and really liking it. So Best Picture most likely is going to be getting in. I just don't think it's the type of film that he's going to be pushing for Best Picture, but who knows? I may be wrong. It could be one of those surprises where everyone's just like, hey, Banshees, that's one that everyone likes, and it could just continues to move on up. And yeah, if it's as awesome as everyone says it is, I'd be on board for that. The other one that I'm less sure of is Tar. The movie came out and critics are freaking loving this, but I mean, do we expect any different? I think we all knew that was gonna happen, right? The big question is, are audiences gonna like it? I think if the film comes out, which it's just about at the time of this recording, and everyone just hates it, like it's getting like rotten scores on Rotten Tomatoes, like people are just disliking this film altogether, I can see it not performing well at the Oscars, with one exception, which you guys know and we will get to momentarily, but I don't know, a lot of people really seem to think that's not going to be the case, that it is not a Spencer. It's very well made to the point that it is going to be an Oscar contender, so you know, that's really why I have it here, where I think it's a very strong possibility. Again, there's just that twinge in my mind going, it might miss, so that's what I have there. Now, numbers 7 through 10, I really just kind of shrugging and going, maybe? So, take that into consideration as we talk about these last four. All Quiet on the Western Front. This one had its release. People were amazed by how well it was shot, what it did with the source material. Everyone's really freaking loving it. So this could very well be your international feature film in the Best Picture, which, I mean, come on, that's been happening for the last 3 years now. It's almost become a pattern, so I think we're gonna get an international feature film in the Best Picture lineup, and I think this right now has the strongest chance to get in. I know a lot of people are thinking maybe Decision to Leave, but if you kind of look at the early review scores, I think people are really leaning more heavily to Western Front on this end. So that's the one that I'm kind of giving that push to right now, but you never know, could be something else. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I know a lot of people kind of sleeping on this one. It's outside of their top 10. People are just not confident in it. I like to think that Disney and Marvel have a little bit more, I don't know, brain when it comes to this sort of stuff, where they're like, oh my god, yeah, the first Black Panther, Best Picture. And we got a second one going on now. We gotta get it pushed for Best Picture as well. So they're probably gonna pull out all the stops to make that a possibility. And especially with the trailers that have come out and the way they're kind of building it up, and this kind of being a legacy to Chadwick Boseman, it could very well do that, especially if the emotions run as high as some people really think they're going to. So I really wouldn't count this one 100% out, and especially with things kind of falling off and disappointing, I can see this very much kind of squeezing in because of that. At number 9, I have Avatar: The Way of Water. Again, a lot of people really sleeping on this one. Do people care about Avatar anymore was the big question. And then we got the re-release of the first film in theaters, and it did goddamn well. To the point that I think we all should be under the impression that the second Avatar is gonna do fucking amazing. I don't think we can deny the possibility that Avatar: The Way of Water can get into Best Picture. I think the same argument that people are having with like Top Gun Maverick, well, it's a huge blockbuster, millions, one of the highest grossing films of all time. I think that could easily be the argument with Avatar as well, if it ends up being as huge as we all think it's going to be. So again, I wouldn't sleep on it. I definitely have it on there. Now, my number 10 is really just a placeholder. I have Glass Onion on here, but to be honest, I really don't think it's gonna get in. It's just kind of, I might as well have just left it blank, because I really don't know what to put in that 10th spot. I mean, Till's doing pretty well right now. Is that one gonna sneak in? What about She Said? That's just about to have its premiere, so maybe that one blows us away. Maybe Elvis gets in. I know that one has the potential to get into a lot of other categories, which, fun little side note, just about every single one of these movies, with the exception of Glass Onion and Tar, I did consider that it can get multiple nominations. that isn't always the deciding factor. I mean, look at Coda last year, but it is kind of what I thought about when I picked who my Best Picture nominees were going to be, predictions were going to be. So, I don't know, take that into consideration. Place whatever you want in my number 10. Hey, there you go, guys. Everyone's always saying, it's my list. Do your own. Pick what you want at my number 10. And that's all we got. It's most definitely not going to stay Glass Onion for the following months. For Best Director, you may be questioning my decision to put Sarah Polley on here for Women Talking at number 1. But truthfully, I do see a trajectory for her similar to that of Jane Campion last year for The Power of the Dog. And it would be freaking awesome to get another female director to win the Oscar for a 3rd year in a row. That'd be fucking awesome. So I'm on board for that. But I do think that a lot of people do have Steven Spielberg at number 1, and it makes sense. He's gone a long time without a win. He's one of the most celebrated directors of all time, so maybe people want to give him that 3rd Oscar. Yeah, he deserves a 3rd Oscar. It's a very personal story for him, so it's a good time to do so if we're going to honor him again. So I understand why putting him at number 1 would be the smart pick. I don't consider the Daniels to be out. A lot of people had them out for the longest time. They're finally starting to put them in. And yeah, I don't know why they thought that they weren't going to get in. So I don't know. I'm on board with them. I've been on board with them from the beginning. I don't think they necessarily have the front runner status of winning, but I do think they're a lock to get in for director. I think that'd be very surprising if they didn't. At the very least, disappointing if they didn't. Damien Chazelle for Babylon. These are basically my top 4 kind of directors in just like multiple different orders. So I think Damien just very well celebrated. I think the argument you can have against him is that, hey, he just won not that long ago for La La Land, so maybe they're not going to give that to him again. But you never know. It's happened before. And then number 5, again, it's just kind of an open spot right now. At the moment, I have Edward Berger for All Quiet on the Western Front. Again, a pattern, the last 3 years, we've had that international director in the director category. So I feel they got to do that again. And yeah, as of right now, All Quiet on the Western Front seems to be in the forefront of everybody's mind. So why wouldn't the director come along with it? I know the argument against that is that he isn't in need of the recognition as some other international directors are, like Park Chan-wook for Decision to Leave. Maybe we get something interesting where he gets into the director nomination, but we still get All Quiet on the Western Front in the Best Picture. That'd be a cool, interesting little twist. For now, I'll keep it as is. I know Todd Field is another one. People are like, no, that movie's fucking amazing. The directing, it's a huge part of what the film is and its identity, so he's got to get in. So yeah, I do think that is a possibility as well. I do think we're gonna get an international director. 3 years in a row, I think 3 is that pattern. I feel we're gonna get another one, so I would put an international director here. Now, before we jump into Best Actrice, a little thing that you probably already know about, and that's that Michelle Williams is being campaigned for lead. Why they would shoot her in the foot like that, I don't fucking know. The word is that they are trying to make her a leading lady, so that's kind of how they want to sell her for this. And in my head, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Does that mean she's just never gonna go for supporting roles ever again? I think unless her career is doing this complete shift where now she's only accepting leading roles, I think that argument's freaking stupid. So there's that. And at first I actually wasn't even gonna play ball. I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm still gonna be predicting her and supporting. It's not their decision to make anyway. It is the voters' decision on where they place her. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, well, I guess she is very respected in the industry, so maybe they do honor her wishes and go for lead. And it would make the supporting actress category more interesting and open the doors for a surprise. So, you know what? I decided I'm gonna follow suit and I'm going to start predicting her for lead. And with that being said, lead actress. Yeah, I don't have her on here. Yeah, I think this is very much a possible outcome from her going in this direction is that there is just so much stiff competition in lead actress that she just falls right on out. Now, I know that doesn't seem plausible, especially with how strong The Fabelmans is doing, and a lot of people really putting it at their number one, thinking it is the front runner, so why the hell wouldn't her nomination come along with it? But just hear me out, hear me out. First, Cate Blanchett. You're gonna hear this a fucking million times because everybody's saying the same thing. She gives one of the best performances, if not the best performance of her career, so of course people are really going to be vying for her. The argument against her and for Michelle Yeoh being that, hey, Kate's won multiple times in the past, do we really need to give her another one? Meanwhile, Michelle doesn't get these opportunities very often, and when is it going to come around again? It's just the perfect moment for her. And while I do think that's a good argument, it isn't fail-safe. It's bound to fail, as it's had in the last few years. Think Frances McDormand, who won a third Oscar when other actresses were finally gunning for their first. Or think Chadwick Boseman, where the argument was literally, he is never gonna have another shot again, and everyone's like, fuck that, Anthony Hopkins. Which, respect, that was a fucking great performance. But as you can see, it's not infallible. It can happen, and I feel like I've learned my lesson twice now, and so I'm gonna go this route, even though I really, really want Michelle to take it home. I'm not saying it's not a possibility, I'm just saying that I've been burned too many times recently to kind of move in that direction. So there's that. I do still think Margot Robbie has a very good shot. A lot of people who got to see that early screenings, like kind of the test audiences, if you will, have said that she's freaking insane and amazing. So I do think finally when we get that film, there's going to be a lot more buzz for her, and that's going to propel her up because she will be the shiny newness at the time. And then Danielle Deadwaller. This is an amazing performance from what I hear. Haven't gotten a chance to see the movie, but the one thing that everyone's really talking about is that she knocks it out of the park. I can easily see her maybe even moving up the ranks and being in the winning conversation at some point. The only reason I don't think it will is because I don't know if Till is going to be that film that really is a huge Oscar contender. A lot of people are being kind of apologetic about how they portrayed the film was going to be, how they thought it was going to be like, oh, it's like trauma porn. But that being said, I think the bottom line is that it does underwhelm at points, the only exception being Danielle. So I think she comes along with it. I don't know if the film will get anything more. But I'll let you know more once I see it. Lastly, Olivia Colman for Empire of Light. Now, this is the one that I'm sure you guys are probably thinking, what? Just take her out, put Michelle in there instead. Yes, that is a very strong possibility. I mean, after all, Empire of Light, yeah, probably not gonna perform as well. The early critic reviews have not been very positive. Meanwhile, Fabelmans is doing freaking amazing. But I think I want to wait until after the audience reviews come out, because I still think Empire of Light is something that maybe general audiences really gravitate towards. And I'm sure they will with the Fabelmans as well, but I think if there's enough love from the audience, I think that will propel the film to get more Oscar nominations. Again, just gotta wait for that one. And here's a fun little thing. If you go into Rotten Tomatoes right now and you look up these individual films and just kind of like the little summary reviews from everybody, you go into the Fabelmans and there's a lot of things for like, oh, you know, Steven Spielberg crafts a personal story, you know, oh, it's a wonderful, whimsical tale. Just there's a bunch of those ones, and then there's a couple that are like, oh, Michelle Williams steals the show, what have you. There's a couple that have her in the little summary because it's an important part of what their review entails. Then you switch over to Empire of Light, and practically every single one of those little summaries is Olivia Colman's amazing. Olivia Colman carries the show. Olivia Colman knocks it out of the park. It's just every single one. And if I were kind of reading that from the outside, I would say, holy crap, there's a lot more love for Olivia than there is for Michelle. And again, that's not to say that this solidifies everything. Again, we just have a handful of reviews, but it's kind of what's in my mind right now as I predict these. So Michelle out for now, for me, but it's not a done deal. She could very well make it back in. Maybe Olivia Colman gets out, and there's so many other possibility. What about Viola Davis for The Woman King? A lot of people really saying that she has the possibility to get in. It's a very stacked category right now. There's a lot of competition, so that's what makes this one so goddamn exciting. I'm so glad I was wrong about Brendan Fraser for The Whale. I mentioned in my last predictions video that I just didn't see him as an Oscar contender, that everything that he's come out in has either underwhelmed or just been fine, so I couldn't see it. And if I'm being honest, I still quite can't see it, if you will, which makes me excited to see The Whale, because I want to see it. But I'm glad I'm wrong. A lot of people are saying, oh, he's got the Oscars, just give it to him already, and that makes me very excited. I think Brendan is a terrific human being. I've mentioned this so many times now, but it's fucked up what he had to go through with the industry. Hollywood is truly a terrible place. So, yeah, I'm glad he's kind of getting his comeback now and really being honored. So it makes me happy. It's one of those things that make your heart feel good. So there's that for you there. Austin Butler for Elvis. Austin's had quite a trajectory. He was kind of like on the outside, maybe at number 5, and slowly but surely he's creeping his way up. I've even heard a couple of people saying that, hey, if Elvis ends up being a huge Oscar contender, he could even overtake Brendan. So, hey, man, good job on that trajectory there. Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin. A lot of people saying this is his best performance ever, and so I'm even more excited to see it now. I don't think he has a shot to win. I think we have too much deep competition, but he hasn't got nominated for the Oscars before, so it's nice to finally see him break into the award show here. Hugh Jackman for The Son. The Son is dead, and I don't think it's getting in anywhere. Hugh is really the only possibility, and even then I can see if audiences also fucking despise that film, that he just goes with it. Like, they just don't want anything to do with that film. So maybe not, because Hugh is very much beloved, so I think even if he does come out in something bad, I think so many people just like him that they'll still kind of push him up for it. But yeah, it's looking less certain as time goes on. Lastly, Bill Nye for Living. Saw the trailer for this. It looks really, really cute. I really want to see the film, and a lot of people are raving about his performance in it. If he does get in, again, this is not going to be a winner. This is one of those, it's an honor to just get nominated type of performances. But I wanted to throw him on here. I just been hearing too much good stuff in that trailer. Put a smile on my face. Alrighty, so supporting actress. Now that Michelle Williams is out, who do we got? I think a lot of people are bouncing between Claire Foy and Jessie Buckley for Women Talking. I've seen some people put Claire at number 1. I've seen some people put Jessie at number 1. Could this be a case where there's so many indecisiveness that it splits the votes and opens the way for one of the other actresses to win? It's a possibility. And if that's the case, I think Stephanie Sue and Carrie Condon have a really good shot. Yeah, I could see a night where people on the edge of their seat like, oh, who's it going to be? Claire, Jessie, and then all of a sudden one of these other two just end up randomly taking it, and you're like, oh shit, that's amazing type of deal. Both performances very well deserving, so I don't think anyone would have a problem if any of these ladies ended up winning. I think everyone would be on board for all of these. Number 5, I have Hong Chow for The Whale. This is really just a placeholder. I think anything can get into that number 5 spot. There is just so many possibilities. I won't go over them all, but yeah, the performance in The Whale. A lot of people still think that, oh my gosh, what's her name from The Sun? Vanessa Kirby, sorry. Vanessa Kirby could still get in, saying she gives a really good performance as well. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities here. So Hong Chau's there for now, but we'll see what ends up happening. For supporting actor, I still have Ke-Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Again, just the narrative. Narrative is so strong with him right now that I think he's got a straight shot for the Oscar. He's not going to be without competition. Ben Whishaw, for Women Talking. I hear he makes you cry, and that's usually a pretty good indicator that a lot of people are going to remember that performance. So it's a possibility there too. Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans, who has, I think I heard 9 minutes of screen time and fucking steals the show with those 9 minutes. So I think he might get in because of that now. Poor Paul Dano. I hear his role in The Fabelmans just isn't as flashy as they wanted it to be, and so there's a lot of people that are actually leaving him off the list. I guess I should follow suit, but part of me thinks that, man, if he doesn't get a nomination, I think he's gonna have a hard time getting in the future. It's gonna be one of those, oh, well, he didn't get in last time, so it's just like a never-ending story. It's just one of those little poisonous daggers that happens. One of those Oscar fuckeries, if you will. So I think he needs to get in. I know it's gonna be one of those, hey, it's an honor just to get nominated, but he at least needs to get in and show that he is an Oscar contender. And then Brendan Gleeson for The Banshees of Inisherin. A lot of people really thinking he's going to get in. I hope so. I always thought Brendan was going to be one of those actors that was terrific, but just was never going to be recognized at the Oscars. There's a few people like that. And man, I hope he gets in. Again, I know he probably won't win, but I would love for him to get in and just be recognized finally for his great talents. For both my screenplays, I am just going to be ranking them in the order that I have them in Best Picture. So with that being said, here, original screenplay, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Babylon, Banshees, Tar. That's just kind of the order of things. I know you can make the argument like, hey, maybe Tar's above Banshees, or maybe Banshees above Babylon, what have you. I think this is something where I really just need to see the movies in order to get a clear picture of it. I can't just go off of what other people are saying. Although, you know, Everything Everywhere is my Best Picture winner, so I guess I should at least have it at #1 here, which it is. So there's that for you. Adaptive screenplay, a little bit more interesting. You do have the top 3 in the order that I have it: Women Talking, All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion. And All Quiet is on here because I do think a lot of people are really liking it. They love the source material, so I think they will honor it here. But you also have The Whale on here. I know a lot of people are saying that The Whale is kind of manipulative, that some people just really don't like the dialogue. There's a really big kind of imbalance. Like, there's some people that really do like it, and there's some people that loathe it. I've seen like 1 out of 5s, like 0.5 out of like 10s or what have you. So some people fucking hate this film. The one unanimous thing being Brendan Fraser is amazing. So it makes me very worried to go see it as well. There's that for you. And then She Said, again, this is just about to have its premiere not that long, so by the time this video comes out, it could either, yes, definitely deserve to be on this list, maybe even higher, maybe right where it's at, or it's a fucking disaster and I should have just taken it out. But I thought I'd sneak it in here for now. I had to mention it somewhere. Okay, moving on to film editing. Everything, yeah, again, if I have it at my #1 over there, should be #1 here. Babylon, I mean, just the trailer alone made me think, holy crap, this is definitely gonna be a very edity movie, however you would say that. Top Gun Maverick, I don't have it for Best Picture. I know a lot of people do. I'm not buying it, if you will, but you know, I do still think it's gonna get in multiple areas. Film editing being one of them. The Fabelmans, I don't know. I think this might just get in because it's a front runner right now. So, same with Women Talking. I don't know if the editing is really going to be one of those things that you think about while watching these two films. But again, just because they're huge, like, front runners right now, I should just include them, right? Again, that isn't always the case that the ones that get nominated for film editing go on to win Best Picture or be nominated for Best Picture, what have you. But, you know, I do think it's more often the case than not. Production design, Babylon, of course. It's that whole circle jerk production that the old men love. So yeah, I think you're kind of safe there. Avatar: The Way of Water, Black Panther, Fabelmans. Again, this one's kind of a question mark above my head. I don't know if it's just because it's a front runner status, or if because it really does have really good production design. This is one of those things I just got to see it before I really solidify my pick here. And then All Quiet on the Western Front as well. You'll see that this one can get into so many categories, and potential for many more that I just left it out of. Cinematography, once again, Babylon. Just look at the trailer, just fucking excellent shots. Top Gun Maverick, obviously. I mean, those sky shots are just freaking amazing. Avatar: The Way of Water, All Quiet on the Western Front, just the war setting on it. And then, again, I'm gonna repeat myself, Fableman's question mark. I have to see it. It's probably because it's a front runner and so on and so forth. Costume design is really, really stacked this year. I mean, there's things that I had to leave off the list that I kept thinking to myself, man, how does that not get in? So I think right now I have Babylon, but it's at my number one, but I don't think that solidifies it being the winner. Black Panther, also a very strong possibility. Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that has some really outrageous costumes, and so many of them. I mean, freaking how many costume changes does she need just to do that shot where it's like all the different universes? So The Woman King, there's a lot more. I had Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, where a costume was kind of the focus of that film. So yeah, there's just so many possibilities here. And it's exciting. It's more exciting when you have these type of competitions than like last year, where very obviously was Cruella all the way. There was just nothing else it could be. So there's that. Makeup and hairstyling, this really just comes down to two. It's either going to go to The Whale, which is most likely because I think that's going to be your more Oscar-heavy film, or it's going to go to the Batman for that terrific penguin makeup. I don't think the Batman's really going to show up in many places, so if it gets in here, I think this is most likely. It can't get in other places, but I think this is the one that I'm most solidified in here. The rest, Babylon, Elvis, and Black Panther, I just kind of there because it makes sense. But again, it doesn't matter. I really do think it's going to come down to those two films. Animated feature film has not changed from last month, and it's mostly just because I haven't seen anything new or heard anything that's really made me think one way or another. I still think Strange World has a possibility. Turning Red, that stayed solid throughout the entire year. I know Pinocchio and When to Win Wild are going to be coming out very soon, so maybe we see the shift going to those, or maybe those are kind of just whatever and we just see Turning Red coasting through the entire way. Probably not. That movie, again, came out so long ago at this point, so it's going to have a hard time keeping that momentum all the way to the end, but I do think it's at least getting in. International feature film, All Quiet on the Western Front. Obviously, if it's going to get into Best Picture, I should have it at my number one right now. Decision to Leave from South Korea, also one that is from a very respected director, so I think that one's a done deal. I have The Quiet Girl from Ireland. I've heard some very fascinating things. I hear the movie is very surprising, so I didn't want to know anything more than that. I gotta check it out. Whenever I hear things like that, I think hearing too much spoils your view of the film, so as soon as I heard some interesting little things, I'm like, okay, no, I gotta go watch it now. So I think it's a strong possibility of getting in, and I think this would be the first time that Ireland ever gets in, so that'd be pretty cool. Klondike from Ukraine, obviously with the war going on, maybe a lot of people's minds and thoughts are going to be with Ukraine, so I think maybe that gives this a push. And then Close from Denmark, I've heard a lot of good things about this one as well, so I think it's a very good, strong possibility. On just the off topic, RRR did not get submitted from India, even though that film's doing amazing. I don't quite understand the decisions that some people make sometimes with how they pick who their representative is gonna be. Maybe they just thought it was too goofy, if you will, for the Oscars taste. I don't know, but doesn't matter. It's still getting a huge push. They started doing their own separate campaign for it. It'd be awesome if it got in somewhere, because I think that would show India it's like, hey, you don't always go for the safe Oscar pick. You gotta take risk and chances. And then Bardo, as a side note, did get submitted. I don't think it's getting in. There's been like some people talking that, oh, you know, it's getting like a re-edit where it's going to be shorter and things like that, and I don't buy it. Some people think it's going to get in, but I don't. That movie was a fucking disaster from what I heard. I hear that Alejandro basically went up on stage, masturbated for about 3 hours, and then fucked off. And hey, look, if you guys are into that shit, that's fine. I ain't trying to kink shame you or anything like that, but a lot of us do need a little bit more than the Louis C.K. treatment, if you know what I mean. Documentary is becoming harder. There is so many documentary films coming out, and a lot of them have very good word of mouth. I think the number one that I'm hearing most of right now is All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, so I kind of just had to place it at number one just because that's what people are telling me to do. Peer pressure. Fire of Love I do still think is a very strong possibility. I put Black Ice on here. I still have Descendant. Navalny, I feel that it came out so long ago. I know people really liked that one, but I think the time is not going to be kind on it, and I think it's eventually going to slip away. I'm holding on to it just a little bit longer, but I gotta see what the next month brings before I make my ultimate decision here. Sound, Top Gun Maverick, right? It makes sense. All Quiet on the Western Front, it's a war film, so of course that's gonna get in. Avatar: The Way of Water, it's very sci-fi, so I think that's gonna get in. The Batman, this is another possibility, though again, just not as solidified as the makeup. And then Everything Everywhere All at Once as well. I think it has just such unique sounds. I'm not 100% sure if it'll get in for that, but I'd place it on here for now. Yes, I know it's fucking stupid. I still have the Batman score at my #1. Look, it's the score that I've liked the most this year. And granted, I haven't heard a lot of the big Oscar movie scores yet, so I might change my mind. But for now, this is the one that I can easily recall in my mind. It's staying at my #1 for now. For now. Black Panther. First one won the score, so of course it makes sense for this one to get nominated. Women Talking, I hear Hildur did an amazing job with it. And then John Williams for The Fablemans, which I hear this is his final composition. I hear he's retiring, so damn, like I think he's guaranteed in. In fact, I should probably put him at #1 or #2 because of that. A fun little fact, if he ends up winning here, I think he becomes the oldest Oscar recipient at the age of 90, I believe, which was previously won by Ennio Morricone. Sorry. So yeah, awesome. Same category too. So little interesting facts there. But yeah, there's no way they're not going to nominate him for his final composition. It's just not happening. And then #5 for Babylon. Damien he knows what he wants for his score, so definitely gonna work very closely with the composer to make the score that he wants for his film. For song, I'm just not confident in a lot of these picks, but bear with me. Hold My Hand for Top Gun Maverick is still my #1. I heard it didn't do so well in general, which is weird for Lady Gaga, but maybe that affects it getting in, or at the very least winning, so maybe I should scoot that one further down right now. I think Nobody Like You still has a very strong possibility as well. That one's one that was liked, and Billie Eilish is still very hot, so I don't see why not. Love Is Not Enough from the movie Bros. I heard a lot of people say that that's a very nice ending song that the movie kind of goes out with, so there's that possibility. Applause from Tell It Like a Woman. Diane Warren gets in every single time she makes a song. We gotta learn a lesson. We keep saying, nah, this movie's too obscure, there's no way. Learn your lesson. I've learned mine. And this is the year she doesn't get in. And then #5, Natu from RRR. This is the one that I do think has the strongest possibility of getting in. I hope it does. It's a very fun dance. My only argument being that it's more fun to see than it is to actually listen to, but imagine this being performed at the Oscars. That'd be fucking cool. Alright, wrapping things up, visual effects, Avatar. I think this is really just your no-brainer. The other things are on there just because they're also visually somewhat impressive, but it doesn't matter. It's Avatar. I think this is your one category that's a done deal where you just move on from there. Animated short, I did add a lot more stuff. I actually saw a couple of news articles talking about one of the some of the bigger animations that could get nominated for the Oscars. So I actually grabbed onto a couple of those and threw them on here. So I actually feel strongest about this list than I have in any of the shorts ever. So there's that for you there. Definitely consider these if you're doing like the short predictions as well. Consider these. Documentary short, none of this has really changed. I do still think The Dream Life of Georgia Stone has a very good shot of getting in, as well as The Martha Mitchell Effect. And Hold Your Breath, The Ice Type. That one I believe you can see on Netflix right now. The last two I'm just not quite sure of, so I don't know. These two could get swapped out. And then lastly, live action shorts. I mentioned this in my last video, but you know, you have Taylor Swift with All Too Well. You have Brie Larson for Remembering. You have Kendrick Lamar for We Cry Together. It'd be awesome to see all those three kind of duking it out. That'd be freaking amazing. And yeah, and then just the final two. I don't know the possibilities of those getting in. Forgive Us Our Trespass, I believe has a kid. It surrounds a kid though, which is an actual strong thing to have in the short category. More often than not, the one focusing on a child or having child actors tends to win. So there's that for you. Anyways, that's all I have for my predictions this time. Oh my god, I know there's a lot more I could have talked about, more that's coming, more that, if I had time, I would just kind of want to make a video just kind of talking and discussing things with everyone, but I don't got time for that right now. This is supposed to just be predictions, and that's what I'm giving you right now. So I hope you guys liked what I had to say. Obviously, we finally entered, I feel, the Oscar season. I think October is really the start of that, where you start to get like festivals and you start to get nominations for some of the smaller award shows. So I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. A lot happened this last month. I don't know how much is going to shift over to November, but whatever the case, I'm keeping an eye and an ear out for any new juicy piece of information I can then share with you guys. So like always, guys, stay safe out there, and until my next video, have a good one.